7 shocking signs God has chosen you for a devastating purpose. Are you ready for this? The air was thick with anticipation as the townsfolk whispered among themselves. Unseen destinies loomed over them like storm clouds ready to burst. It wasn't just gossip, it was a live wire of energy crackling through the streets. Every glance was a question lingering just beneath the surface. Were they truly stepping into something monumental? The sun hung low, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance as if alive. In a world too comfortable with the mundane, peculiar happenings sparked curiosity. Barnaby Hill, with its aging structures and creaking timber, had recently become the epicenter of strange occurrences. Each night, flickering lights could be seen darting across the old cemetery, only adding to the unease. What could those lights mean? Eerie wisps of fog rolled in, whispering secrets that no one dared to uncover. The townspeople gathered, hearts pounding like drums, reflecting the unspoken fear gnawing at their chests. Remember the tale of Clara, the woman who vanished without a trace. The entire town had watched as she laughed and danced one night. The next morning, she was nothing but a ghost. Could it be that she was called for something beyond their understanding? Rumors swirled, claiming she had received a divine message. Had she been chosen for something greater, only to pay the price of disappearance? Those who were left to ponder the weight of such choices. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the moon rose higher, casting its cold glow on the cobblestones, a sudden silence fell over the gathering. There, at the heart of the crowd, a lone figure appeared, cloaked in darkness. The whispers died down, breaths caught in throats. Could she be the next chosen one? There were tense nods, frightened glances exchanged. Unsure yet curious, everyone felt the weight of destiny pressing down on them. What was she here to reveal? Would it be a warning or a promise of hope? The night was young, but beneath the facade of calm, hearts raced, and the air crackled with potential. Suddenly, a thunderous clap of thunder echoed above, cutting through the stillness like a knife. Gasps erupted. The figure raised her hands, and in that moment, the sky seemed to open. Reality blurred, and everyone wondered, were they about to uncover the truth behind their whispered fears? Who among them was ready to embrace a devastating purpose? The figure's hands descended, and the crowd held its breath, suspended in a moment that felt like the heartbeat of the universe itself. A flash illuminated her face, and gasps echoed through the throng, a wave of startled disbelief rolling like thunder. Her eyes sparkled with a knowing that felt ancient, as if she held the secrets of the earth within her grasp. Whispers fluttered like moths around a flame, drawing them in closer, almost against their will. Clara was chosen, she said, her voice steady yet echoing with urgency. But not all who are chosen return. The weight of her words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. People shifted uncomfortably, fear carving lines in their faces. Was Clara a symbol or a warning? The darkness seemed to thicken, pressing in from all sides, as the figure continued. The lights you see in the cemetery, they are not just flickers of mischief. They are the remnants of those who have crossed over, waiting for you to understand. A chill swept through the crowd. Murmurs buzzed like angry bees. What could it mean? Had they all been summoned here by something beyond their comprehension? Couples grabbed each other's hands tightly. Friends exchanged worried looks. The promise of something greater had an unsettling shadow lurking within its folds. Then, in a swift motion, she spun around, a mere silhouette against the moonlight. The sky erupted in vivid colors, lightning shattered the stillness, illuminating the graveyard behind her. It was as if the unholy ground animated under the crackling energy. Gasps turned to screams, as a dozen shadowy figures emerged from between the graves, swirling mist pooling around their feet. They were called, she whispered, her back still turned, trembling hands clenched at her sides. They seek to reclaim what was lost. And soon they will demand a price. Hearts raced. Fear radiated from every corner of the gathering. What was this price? Was it flesh? Was it the very souls of the living? A mother pulled her child close, shielding him with her body as if to ward off some unseen threat. Suddenly, one figure darted forward, its grotesque features briefly visible in another flash of lightning, a shadow that no one dared to face. The townsfolk shrieked, stumbling backward, lost in a scramble of terror. Then the figure turned back to them, her voice rising above the chaos, "Do not fear. The chosen must gather. You will learn to harness the power within. But be warned, not all destinies lead to glory." As the storm raged higher, a dull ache throbbed at the back of their minds, the unsettling realization that Clara's fate might soon become their own. Would they run? Or would they stand and face the impending doom together? Before the figure could elaborate, thunder cracked again, and darkness spun like a vortex. The townspeople found themselves spiraling into the blank void, swallowed whole like prey in the jaws of a beast. And in that breathtaking moment, the figure whispered something chilling before everything went black. "Will you be ready to accept your calling?" The world felt unstable, up was down, left was right. Silence followed, thick and damp. Where were they? What would come next? As the shadows loomed larger, one question burned in their minds: would they be chosen, or would they become the lost? The darkness receded slowly, giving way to an unsettling gray fog that clung to everything like a shroud. The townsfolk found themselves standing in a barren landscape, the air cold and sharp. They blinked in confusion, taking in their surroundings. Nothing felt familiar, it was as if they had been thrust into another world, one that whispered of dread and despair. Where are we?" A voice cracked through the murmur of uncertainty. It belonged to John, a local farmer known for his sturdy hands and gentle demeanor. His eyes darted around, desperation beginning to fray the edges of his calm exterior. "Does it matter?" Lisa, the schoolteacher, shouted back, her voice trembling. It was just a storm. Now we're here. This can't be real." A woman stepped forward, her gray curls haloed by the dim light that seemed to emanate from nowhere. She was the figure from before, still holding the gravity of the moment in her eyes. "Reality is shaped by your choices," she replied softly, almost tenderly. "You are here because you have been summoned. Each of you carries the mark of the chosen." A collective gasp echoed among the crowd. "What does that mean?" Someone yelled from the back. "It means," she hesitated, her gaze scanning each face, "you must confront your fears and discover your inner strength. The price to reclaim what you have lost is not trivial. This place will test you, and only then can you return." "Why Clara?" John interjected, fists clenched. "Why was she chosen? Clara has something special within her, but she's only the first of many trials." "What trials?" Someone else shouted. "What do we have to do?" The figure raised her hand, cutting through the panic. "You will face the shadows of your past, fears that cling and whisper. Only by acknowledging them can you hope to fight the darkness that seeks to consume you." Suddenly, the fog thickened, swirling in chaotic patterns. Figures emerged from the haze, distorted apparitions that familiarized themselves with each chosen one. Anguished faces reflected their own, haunting them with familiarity. There was Clara's younger self, eyes wide with innocence, standing by the grave of a lost loved one. And there was John, a version of himself burdened with guilt, surrounded by memories of a decision that hunted him. They reached out to the living, mouths moving in silent screams of anguish. "Do not listen," shouted Lisa, her voice trembling. "They're not real." "Are they?" The figure countered, an edge in her tone. "These shadows show your reality. They are the burdens you must confront to escape." The group recoiled, doubt swirling in the air like the fog that enveloped them. What if we fail? John murmured, voice barely registering above the tension. Failing is not the worst thing, she said slowly. To run from this reality is the true defeat. All will be tested, only your choices will matter. Lightning bolted through the fog once more, illuminating the darkened landscape. Shadows began to advance, drawn by the vibrations of fear and sorrow. The townsfolk watched, wide-eyed, as one shadow lunged toward Clara, pulling her away from the others. Screams erupted, piercing through the night. Clara! They reached out, but the vortex had pulled her in. Face your fears. The figure called after her, though her voice was drowned out by the rising chaos. The remaining townsfolk stood paralyzed, fear tightening its grip. What had seemed a chance for power now felt like an inescapable nightmare. Would they be able to confront their own truths? Would they have the courage to move forward, or would they allow darkness to consume them whole? As the shadows grew nearer, the air thick with tension, one question rang clear in their minds: who would be next to vanish? The darkness closed in, nearly suffocating as the shadows drew closer to the remaining townsfolk. They stood frozen, their hold on each other slipping, panic gripping their hearts like iron shackles. The faint whispers of the apparitions echoed in their minds, dredging up guilt and grief as their past flickered like a broken film reel. Clara! Lisa screamed, her voice hoarse and raw, tears brimming in her eyes. We can't leave her. We have to do something. John clenched his fists at his sides, his skin turning pale. What if she is trapped? What if we don't get her back? The thought gnawed at him, a constant ache that dragged him deeper into despair. The eerie figure watched them, her expression unreadable, but a flicker of concern glimmered in her eyes. You must face your own trials first. There is no way back without confronting the darkness in your hearts. A piercing wail drew their attention, echoing through the fog as ominous shapes jostled for their attention. Each shadow leaned in closer, taunting them. John stepped back instinctively, his heart racing. We're not ready for this. He shouted, trying to rally his courage. Lisa took a shaky breath, her gaze scanning the fog for signs of Clara. What do you mean trials? Just tell us what we need to do. A chilling laugh rippled through the air as spectral forms surrounded them, their lips grinned menacingly. You know what holds you captive, echoed one shadow, taking the shape of a man that resembled John's long-dead father. Remember that moment when you turned your back on your family? Can you confront him? Or will you let his disappointment swallow you whole? John recoiled, his pulse thudding painfully in his ears. No, that was a mistake, a long time ago. Was it a mistake? Or a choice? The shadow taunted, drawing closer. John's heart raced at the familiar despair that washed over him. Lisa screamed, turning toward the figure. Make them stop. This isn't a trial, it's torture. Only you can silence them, the figure replied, her voice steady but soft, a mother's tone. Each of you holds the key to your release. As the shadows pressed in, Lisa felt the suffocating weight of her own past unspooling before her. I can't deal with this alone, she stammered, fear quaking in her voice. The weight of unspoken words from lost years began to rise, bubbling like venom threatening to spill. Even as the darkness encroached, a small spark ignited within her. But together we could face them. Together, we have strength. John's gaze flicked toward Lisa, feeling a flicker of hope emerging amidst the terror. You're right. We can't let this darkness win. Their resolve hardened. They would fight, even against the shadows that knew their secrets most intimately. As their hands clasped tightly, a fierce light burst forth from within their circle, weak but undeniable. Face your fears. The figure urged, her voice amplifying through the chaos. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, disorienting all of them. It was the first sign of victory. The flickering light grew brighter, and for a moment, each member of the group saw the faint outline of Clara at the center of the chaos, struggling against her own shadow, the embodiment of her past struggles. Clara! They shouted in unison, courage blooming like wildflowers in a desolate desert. We're coming for you. We won't let you fight this alone. Suddenly, as the light radiated fiercely, the shadows thrashed and writhed, twisting as the energy swelled. But just as it seemed the darkness might scatter, shadows closed in once more, resolved to extinguish the light. What if we can't save her? John's voice trembled, filled with both dread and determination. Then we fight for ourselves and for each other, Lisa replied, her grip unwavering. Now. Together. With every ounce of strength, they stepped forward into the storm of darkness, unified as the shadows howled, ready to confront the nightmares they had long buried. But in the depths of the fog, Clara's silent scream echoed louder, chilling the very air around them. Would their united force be enough to overpower the shadows that haunted them? Or would they too succumb to the fate that had already befallen Clara? The shadows lunged at them like a pack of wolves, sharp teeth glistening in the dim light. Lisa's heart pounded wildly, each thud reminding her of everything she had pushed aside, the hurt, the regrets, the moments that had haunted her for years. She felt her grip on John's hand tighten. We can do this. I won't go back alone. With fear crackling like dry leaves around them, John took a deep breath, his throat dry. He could feel his father's shadow closing in, words dripping with disdain. You never forgave yourself, did you? Not after you abandoned us. No. John shouted, his voice slicing through the thick tension. I didn't abandon you. I was trying to protect myself. But the weight of his words hung heavily, even in the air around them. Who are you trying to convince? The spectral figure sneered, fingers curling as if reaching for his mind. John stumbled back, grappling with the memory of darkness, of feeling so small and helpless. God, did he have to relive this? On the other side, Lisa faced the specter of her lost sister, her features twisted with sorrow and resentment. You let me down, Lisa. You turned your back when I needed you the most. No. Lisa cried, tears streaming down her face. You don't understand. I didn't know how to help you. The sting of the past echoed, drowning her in guilt. Every unkept promise turned to ice in her veins. The dark fray around them pulsed with malevolence, the air thick with silent screams. Shadows circled like an impending storm, waiting for the right moment to attack. Stay focused. Lisa shouted, shaking off the wave of sorrow. We won't let them win. We're in this together, remember? In that instant, the fear flickered, replaced with a fierce determination. Their hands remained clasped tightly, an unbreakable bond pressing against the weight of dread. Something within them shifted, a warmth igniting in their chests, spreading like wildfire. Face them. The figure commanded, her voice resonating like a bell through the chaos. Face your truths. As if spurred by her words, the group charged forward, their light merging into a solid beam, blindingly bright against the shadows. The darkness recoiled, shrieking in agony, but it was a moment of false security. Suddenly, multiple shadows erupted from the edges of the void, clawing at their resolve, dragging them into familiar fears. Each past memory whispered curses, reminding them of failures, losses, of love that had slipped through their fingers. John could see his father's face again, disappointment etched deep in the lines, while Lisa could almost hear her sister's voice pleading for help that never came. No. They yelled in unison, their voices echoing in defiance. With their resolve renewed, they summoned the light, pushing back against the encroaching darkness that grasped at their souls. But they didn't realize some shadows took refuge in the deepest corners of their hearts, unable to be banished with sheer force alone. The shadows formed a monstrous figure, larger than life, filled with their fears and regrets. It rose up, its mouth twisted in a cruel smile. You think you can defeat me? You are nothing without your burdens. John faltered, feeling the weight of the truth in those words. Why was it so hard to break free? Remember, John. Lisa yelled, her voice reaching him through the tempest. The light of your love for Clara is stronger than any fear. Use it. Use all of it. That spark of hope ignited once again in John's heart, a flicker that promised strength and unity. He met Lisa's eyes, and in that look, they understood they had to face not only their shadows but each other's as well. Together. They shouted, pushing toward the dark colossus, ready to wrestle with their pasts, but as they surged forward, a different figure broke through the fog, a silhouette they hadn't expected. Clara's face, pale and pained, emerged, and her eyes locked onto John and Lisa with desperation. "Help me," she whispered, and with that plea, everything shifted. Would they save her, or would the shadows consume them all? The moment Clara's voice pierced through the chaos, the ground beneath them trembled. John's heart lurched as the apparition's haunting eyes stirred a tidal wave of emotion. He could barely think. The ethereal light they had summoned flickered uncertainly, the darkness surrounding them swirling like a tempest. "Clara!" he shouted, but the name felt foreign on his tongue. It echoed back at him, mixing with the cacophony of screams. Shadows writhed, hungry for the fear that mingled with his desperation. "Step back!" Lisa cried, instinctively positioning herself between Clara and the oncoming shadows. Clenching her fists, she willed the light to return, drawing strength from her bond with John. "We have to protect her." But Clara's figure flickered, shifting between hope and despair, as though each emotion tightened the grip of the shadows. "Please. I'm trapped. You have to remember what we shared." Her voice carried a tremor that cut through the madness, wrapping around John like a lifeline. Memories flooded his mind. Moments of laughter over shared ice cream, long talks under a starlit sky, and the warmth of understanding in silent exchanges. His love for her could be the key, yet it hung in the air, twisted by sorrow and guilt. "Use your love, John," Lisa urged, her vibrant determination igniting the fading light. "It's our only weapon against this darkness." As the monstrous shadow lurked closer, John squeezed Lisa's hand, feeling her steadying presence. He took a step toward Clara, heart pounding with uncertainty. "What do I do?" he breathed, the flicker of hope almost extinguished by doubt. "Remember us," Clara whispered, her form now translucent. With a surge of courage, John shut his eyes and concentrated. Memories rushed to the forefront, her laughter, the feel of her hand in his, the future they had envisioned together. A rush of warmth spread through him, a golden light flaring into existence as he opened his eyes again. "Clara!" he shouted. "I'm here. I want to leave you again." Suddenly, a wave of light erupted from within him, enveloping both Clara and Lisa. Shadows hissed, recoiling, and in that moment, John's past fears began to dissolve. Lisa's voice joined his again, a roar against the encroaching shadows. "Together, Clara. We're with you." Their bond solidified the warmth, a collective heart against the chilling darkness. Clara began to solidify, her features sharpening, but the monstrous figure thrashed violently in response, relentless in its pursuit. "You think you can save her this way?" it howled, the voice reverberating like thunder, a cacophony of guilt and despair spiraling around them. "You're still just children pretending to be brave." "No." John's cry sliced through the chaos, refusing to acknowledge the spectre's taunts. "This isn't just bravery, it's love." Unexpectedly, the shadows splintered, like glass catching light. Clara stepped fully toward them, vibrant and real, a strength radiating from her eyes that had once seemed so distant. "You brought me back," she gasped, disbelief merging with hope. But the dark colossus wasn't finished. It reared back, gathering its power, ready to unleash a final confrontation. "You can't defeat me. You are haunted. All of us are haunted," Lisa shouted, her voice unwavering. "But we're not defined by our shadows." With that declaration, the trio surged forward, a tidal wave of light crashing against the oppressing darkness. The shadow creature screamed, fierce and terrible, pulled by a force it couldn't comprehend. Cracks spread through the darkness, but John felt a cold chill wrap around his heart. What if saving Clara meant losing himself? Would their love be enough to shatter the chains binding them all? What happens now? Clara asked, her gaze piercing into John's soul, searching for answers they hadn't yet found. And just as he opened his mouth to respond, the ground quaked beneath them again, the shadows wailing in anguish. A new figure emerged from the depths of darkness, a shadowy specter cloaked in despair. It loomed toward Clara, its sinister grin twisting into a mask of malice. Clara! No! John shouted, the dread coiling in his gut as horror unraveled in the air. The battle wasn't over, and as they braced themselves for the clash to come, a chilling question hung in the air: were they truly ready to face the darkest parts of themselves? The air was electric, thick with tension as the shadowy specter advanced, its presence a suffocating weight. Clara's eyes widened, fear flickering like the lights around them. John stepped forward, instinctively placing himself between her and the encroaching doom. His heart pounded like a war drum, drowning out the screams of the shadows clamoring for his fear. "Stay behind me," he commanded, but the tremble in his voice betrayed the uncertainty coursing through him. Clara shook her head, defiance igniting her features. "No, John. I want to hide. I'm done being afraid." That fire within her sparked something deep in John. "Together then," he replied, taking her hand with a fierce grip. Lisa stepped beside them, her determination unwavering, a beacon cutting through the darkness. "Let us show it what we're made of," she shouted, her voice carrying strength as if challenging the very fabric of the universe holding them hostage. With their hands joined, they formed a triangle of light, a newfound bond that pulsed with shared emotion. The specter, now looming larger, sneered, revealing teeth like jagged knives. "You think your love can defeat me? You are entwined in your own darkness." John felt the truth in those words. Shadows of regret and pain surged within him, whispering doubts of despair. Could he really protect them? He forced himself to push it away, focusing on Clara and Lisa instead. He thought of their laughter, their dreams, and the unyielding hope that had pulled them through the darkest of nights. "Clara," he spoke, his voice steadying. "Remember that time I do?" She interjected, her eyes lighting up. "The night we danced in the rain. We promised to always fight for each other." "Yes," Lisa added, as the trio began to glow brighter, the warmth overcoming the chill. "We are stronger than the shadows we fear." The specter howled in rage, thrashing violently, yet they held firm. An intense light erupted from their connection, blinding the darkness momentarily. John could feel the shadows recoiling, their wails echoing through the ground. But from the murky depths, another sinister laugh broke free. The darkness was not finished. "You think you can wield that love against me? Foolish children." It lunged forward, its form melting like wax, reaching for Clara with a ravenous hunger. John stepped in front of her, throwing himself against the tide of despair. "I want to let you take her," he bellowed, every word fueled by the fire of his love. "Feel the weight of your fear." The specter hissed, its voice slithering around him, coiling like a serpent ready to strike. "You are lost, John. You will always be haunted." His heart raced faster, each pulse resonating with memories of laughter, joy, and the hope that had brought him here. He envisioned a future free from fear and filled with light. He couldn't falter now. "Lisa!" he shouted. "We need more." She closed her eyes, focusing all her energy. "On 3 let us pour everything we have into this light. 1 2 3. As their voices merged, a blinding wave erupted, radiating hope that shattered the encroaching shadows. Clara's silhouette brightened alongside John and Lisa, their combined love surging like a tidal wave crashing against the specter. Screams erupted as the specter twisted in agony, cracks spreading across its form. But from the chaos, soft whispers emerged, memories echoing betrayal, loss, heartache. Yet, through it all, a singular realization dawned in John's mind. He was ready to confront his own darkness, to face every shadow he had ever feared. "Let me in!" he shouted, heart pounding against the groan of the shadows. A moment hung in the air, a fragile thread straining under the weight of fear and hope. And just then, the ground trembled again as the spectre recoiled, only to unleash a final, devastating scream. In that moment, Clara grabbed John's arm tightly, the fear glimmering in her eyes. "This is it, John. Whatever happens next, we face it together." But before he could respond, a blinding flash erupted, and the shadows coalesced into an unforeseen form. A figure born of malice emerged from the void, more terrifying than before. "Did you think you could escape me?" it taunted, mocking their defiance. As the air thickened and the shadows swarmed, the choice lay heavy on John's chest. Were they ready for the fight of their lives? The figure loomed larger, its form shifting with a grotesque fluidity. Darkness poured from it, a tangible threat that snaked around the trio, seeking to engulf them in despair. John fought against the rising tide of fear, squeezing Clara's hand as if he could transfer his courage into her. "Keep your focus," Lisa shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We have to remember what we're fighting for." With those words, John dug deep, pulling from the well of memories that fueled their strength. He thought of the laughter shared during lazy afternoons, the warmth of their embraces in the cold shadow of winter, the life they had built together. "We won to let you take us," he yelled, pushing against the encroaching dark, but the spectre only sneered. "Such shallow bonds. You think love can shield you from your own fears?" The words sliced through the air, chilling John to his core. It struck a nerve, forcing shadows of guilt to rise in turbulent waves. He could feel the whispers again, mocking, reminding him of every mistake, every moment he had faltered. His resolve wavered, the corners of his mind fracturing. "Don't listen to it," Clara cried, her voice a lifeline. "Feel the light between us. Focus on the strength that brought us here." I can't let it win," John gasped, and as if sensing his doubt, the figure surged forward, drawing closer, and the ground beneath them groaned with the weight of its power. Lisa's eyes blazed with determination. "Together we stand. No shadows can break us." A surge of warmth coursed through John's veins, fueled by Clara and Lisa's courage. He couldn't let the darkness shatter their bond. He focused on Clara's face, the determination in her eyes shining brighter than the spectre's dark malice. "Hold hands. Let us amplify the light," he shouted, feeling the bond between them strengthen once more. Clara and Lisa replied instantly, hands gripping tighter, energy radiating like the sun breaking through storm clouds. As they stood unified, the darkness shrieked, its laughter turning into agonized howls that echoed through the night. The air shimmered, filled with a palpable energy that pushed against their fears. A golden light cascaded from their joined hands, illuminating cracks in the darkness, forcing it to recoil. "Remember our dreams," John shouted over the chaos. "Remember the dance, the laughter, the love we vowed to protect." Each rallying cry forged a new connection, the dreams they clung onto like lifeboats in a storm. The spectre flickered, its shape losing cohesion as if struggling against a powerful tide, but the entity was resilient, and its anger morphed into raw fury. "You are fools. Love is a weakness, I will consume you." It lunged, tendrils of shadow reaching desperately for them. "No. We have faced worse." Clara's voice rang out, fierce and unwavering. "We've survived the worst life could throw at us. Look beyond the darkness." As her words echoed, John glimpsed not just their memories but futures yet untold, the warmth of sunrise on new adventures, laughter shared over countless dinners, love that would grow and bind them against all odds. The light surged from within, bursting forth like a supernova. "Push against it. Together." John roared, every ounce of his being igniting with determination. The shadows twisted and turned, but their light was relentless, overwhelming. Yet as victory seemed in reach, a low rumble reverberated beneath their feet, and the very air cracked with tension. With each heartbeat, John sensed an ominous presence lurking beneath their triumph. The spectre wasn't done yet. Clara turned to John, her face pale yet resolute. What if it's not over? What if it can reform again? Feeling the weight of her words, John's heart sank. Then we'll face it again. Together. In that moment, a shadow coiled behind them, ready to strike with a vengeance. Just as fear crested anew, dark clouds swirled above, promising more than just a confrontation. What lay ahead could change everything, a dark truth that could unravel them all. The ground shook beneath them as the specter's wrath swirled into a maelstrom of darkness. John tried to breathe, to push the fear out, but it wrapped around him tightly, squeezing the air from his lungs. The acrid smell of something burning filled the air, mingling with the palpable sense of dread that ticked like a countdown in the back of his mind. Get ready. Lisa's voice was a beacon through the chaos, urging John and Clara to prepare for the unknown. As the shadows writhed and contorted like smoke in the wind, John felt a spine-chilling realization creeping over him. This was not just an attack, it was a test. The specter's laughter roared, a cacophony that echoed through the night. What do you think you can achieve? It taunted, its voice low and menacing, dripping with scorn. You have not seen the depths of your despair yet. John could feel its cold breath on his neck, and his heart raced as memories flashed like lightning in his mind. Moments of weakness, times he had failed to protect those he loved. The air thickened with his doubts, snatching at his resolve. He swayed, teetering on the edge of surrender, but then Clara squeezed his hand, grounding him. Don't you dare give in. Her voice rang out, fierce and unwavering, cutting through the shadows like a knife. Focus on the light, John echoed, his voice stronger. It felt as if they were pulling energy from one another, a current racing through their grips, bolstering his spirit as they faced the whirling mass of darkness. Let us show it. Lisa shouted, and with one fierce might, they all raised their joined hands toward the void. A surge of golden light erupted between their palms, reflecting their pact, their hopes, dreams, and relentless will to fight against the haunting pulse of despair. Together. Clara echoed, her voice a steady anthem, and they pushed forward, their light slicing through the dark like swords of brilliance. The shadows hissed, recoiling, retreating momentarily from the radiant burst, but even as they pressed on, John could feel the specter's fury return with an unsettling vengeance. You can't escape your fears. It roared, tendrils snapping out toward them like whips. Each swipe sent shockwaves through John's body, nearly knocking him off balance. I know what you are. John shouted back, his voice drowning in the tumult. You're just a reflection of our fears. You only have power if we let you. He felt a rush of adrenaline, hope mingling with fear, fueling his fight. As if rising against the shadows of doubt, memories cascaded in waves. The laughter of friends, the joy of simple moments, the love that ignited a fire in his heart. No matter how dark it grew, those flames could not be extinguished. Remember us. Clara shouted, her eyes fierce, brimming with belief. Remember who we are. Suddenly, the fabric of the darkness began to tear, ripped apart by their unwavering unity. The spectre shrieked inhuman and shrill as the light began to swallow the darkness whole. It was a glimmer of unlikely victory, a sliver of hope, but just as they began to feel triumph swell in their chests, shadows conspired around them again, swirling with an insatiable hunger for despair. A colossal crack split the ground, and John stumbled back, almost losing Clara's hand. What now? He gasped, eyes wide as the pit opened before them, an abyss that seemed to pulse with darkness, ready to consume all hope. Keep holding on. Lisa urged, panic creeping into her voice. The ground trembled, and suddenly John realized, it wasn't just a fight for survival, they were standing on the threshold of a choice that could either liberate them or bind them forever. As the shadows swirled closer, John felt the weight of that decision pulling at him. This isn't just a battle, it's our very souls at stake. And in that moment of piercing clarity, he understood the specter's true intent. It wasn't he just seeking to destroy them, it was vying to claim their deepest fears, the very foundation of who they were. With one last breath, he braced himself against the encroaching dark. Fate was upon them, and every heartbeat felt like an anxious countdown. "We will find a way," John declared, his grip tightening. "We will face whatever this is together." Just then, a loud crack echoed through the darkness, and the ground beneath them trembled violently. A deep, chilling voice erupted from the void, "You think you can resist the inevitable?" As the shadows began to lunge, time seemed to freeze, leaving only the echo of that sinister promise hanging in the air. What lay beyond the darkness was no longer clear, and uncertainty loomed like a phantom. Would they prevail, or would the shadows consume them whole? The air shifted again, a palpable weight of dread hanging over the trio as the shadows twisted menacingly around them, eager to seep into their very souls. John looked at Clara, her eyes wide yet resolute. It was a fire he had never seen, not just for herself, but for them all. Lisa stood firm beside them, her courage a steadying force against the chaos threatening to engulf them. "Remember who we are," Lisa shouted, her voice echoing with raw determination. "We are not just our fears. We are the love we've shared, the dreams we dare to chase, and the family we've built. Together, we are stronger." John's heart steadied at her words. The memories warned him of laughter under the stars, moments they hugged tightly, and the passion in Clara's eyes. Love was a shield. It wouldn't collapse under the weight of shadows. The shadowy specter, still brimming with contempt, roared in anger. "Love is a weakness. You belong to the darkness." Drawing upon their shared memories, John fueled his voice with defiance. "No. You are nothing but a reflection of our fears. You only have power if we let you." The light between them surged, crackling like electricity, pushing the darkness back. "Clara." He squeezed her hand tighter. "We will not let you take what we hold dear. Fight with us. Together." Clara echoed, her spirited voice cutting through the encroaching darkness like a knife. "We will face our fears. We will shine brighter than the shadows." The collective energy they summoned pulsed brightly, throwing back the darkness that clawed at them. The spectre shrieked, its form flickering as if caught in a tempest. It writhed, absorbing the light with desperation. "Foolish children. You can't hope to defeat me. This ends now." John shouted, feeling a rush of resolve. They could do this. Together. The shadows drew closer, and Clara stepped forward. "This is not just a fight, it's a choice. We choose joy, love, and the light." Their grip tightened, and they poured everything they had into releasing the warmth of their bonds. As their voices rose, the light expanded, brightening with each pulse of their unity. The spectre howled, twisting in agony as they pressed forward, wielding love as their weapon against the encroaching abyss. Memories surfaced, every laugh, every victory, every moment that defined them, crystallizing into a radiant force. "Your doubt is your downfall," John proclaimed, the shadows disintegrating around the brighter light they forged. "You're wrong. Love is our strength. Together." Clara and Lisa shouted, and light exploded from their joined hands, engulfing the spectre in a tidal wave of brilliance. In that moment, the darkness howled one final time, a sound so unbearable, echoing in grief, anger, and desperation. Shadows receded as the light swallowed them whole, like a sun igniting the dawn after a long and terrible night. Then, silence fell, thick and enveloping. John opened his eyes, the fog around them began to dissipate, revealing the familiar outlines of Barnaby Hill. He blinked at the gentle breeze brushing against his skin. Where there had been chaos and shadows, now stood the old cemetery bathed in the soft glow of twilight. Did we do it?" Clara whispered, her face illuminated with awe. "We did," Lisa added, eyes wide with wonder. "We faced our darkness." They stood together, the warmth of hope rising in their chests. No shadows loomed above them, nor sinister laughter haunted their minds. They took a collective breath, a sigh of relief amidst the realization that they had emerged not just unscathed but transformed. As the full moon illuminated their path, they knew darkness could not own them any longer. They were chosen, yes, but not for devastation, they were chosen for strength, perseverance, and the power forged in love. "Let us go home," John said, taking Clara's hand, while Lisa grinned and followed closely behind. They walked together, side by side, under the night sky, ready for whatever awaited them next. No fear, only hope. The storm had passed, and as the stars flickered above as a sign of the countless new journeys ahead, their spirits soared with unshakable conviction. This was not the end, but simply a new beginning. So, if you've loved this journey and want to see countless more stories just like this, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss a moment. You followed them through darkness, and now it's time to smash that like button to keep that positive energy flowing into the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your theories about how their journey will continue. Tell us what you felt as they fought through their fears. Your insights are invaluable to our community. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need this message of strength and unity. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow, ceremonially and literally.